Hi everyone, I'm Nidhi Chandorkar. Today we are going to learn about types of researches done. What I mean by types of researches is how can a research be classified? That is what we are going to learn, and we will be surprised that there are a lot of things to be learned in that. To begin with, let us understand how the researches can be classified. There are so many different ways of classifying the research. The first one is on the basis of type of data which is collected, on the basis of application of the research, whether or not it has to be applied or not. Then on the basis of previous researches done in the same area, on the basis of analysis of the data, whether the analysis has to be done or the situation has to be described. Then on the basis of type of data for interpretation. Now, so on the basis of type of data collected, we have the most important classification, that is qualitative and quantitative research. On the basis of its application, we have pure and applied research. On the basis of previous researches done in the same area, we have generative and exploratory research. On the basis of analysis of the data, we have descriptive and analytical research. On the basis of type of data used for interpretation, we have conceptual and empirical research. Now let us take some time and try understanding them and examining them to a good extent. First, as I told you, the most important type of classification is on the basis of type of data collected. So the classification is qualitative research and quantitative research. Qualitative research is, as the name suggests, focuses on quality of things. That means what is their nature, what are they like, how can they be described. It often involves views and internal world of participants. It includes data generated through use of interview, focus group, observation, etc. It generally involves micro view, and hence smaller samples can be taken at a time. Let us understand why qualitative research is important. What are the advantages? The data which is collected through qualitative research is rich, in-depth, in detail information is possible. Then perception of the participant is freely considered here. That means the human factor is also considered. Appropriate for situation in which detailed understanding is required. Events can be seen in their proper context. That means more holistically. The problems associated with qualitative research is they are not always generalizable. The first and the most important reason for that is the sample size is generally very small. And the nature of responses is very subjective. It changes from respondent to respondent. Then conclusion needs to be very carefully hedged because most of the time we require post-coding technique here. Then acquisition of unreliability is very common because at different situations, we are going to get different results. The next type under this category is quantitative research. By quantitative research, I mean the research data which focuses on quantity of things. For example, how many are there? What are the statistical pattern and so on. It generally takes the form of numbers and their analysis involves counting or quantifying to draw conclusion. Larger set of data can be involved than as in case of qualitative research. Statistical rigorous techniques can be used to analyze the data. Quantitative data often provides macro view. That means not the internal view, micro view is not provided. In that, they involve large samples. What are the benefits of conducting a quantitative research? Larger sample size often makes the conclusion of the quantitative research generalizable and more acceptable. Statistical methods mean that the analysis is often considered reliable. You have a proof of whatever outcome you are stating. Appropriate for situations where systematic standardized comparisons are required. Now, what are the problems associated with quantitative research? It does not shed light on the complete complexity of the situation, especially when it comes to human nature or experience. It can reveal what, to what extent, but it cannot always explore why and how. It may give, false impression of homogeneity of the entire sample which is actually sometimes misguiding. Now, the next type of classification is on the basis of utility of the research. It is pure and applied research. But pure research, by the way, it is also known as basic or fundamental research. It is undertaken for the sake of knowledge without any intention of applying it in practice. Undertaken for curiosity, intellectual curiosity, it may lead to discovery of new theory. It enhances knowledge. It lays foundation to applied research many a times. They are basis of scientific inventions. Now, what is applied research? It is to find, as the name suggests, the outcome is going to get applied. So it is to find the solution of a real life problem. It is problem oriented and action oriented. It seeks immediate and practical results. It can incidentally result in enhancement of theoretical knowledge also. Some example of applied research is research in the field of medicine or research in the field of business. They both are type of applied researches. Now, the next classification is on the basis of whether or not previous researches have been done in that particular area or not. So the researchers conducted, if the researchers are already conducted in that particular area and you have a lot of data to rely on, such kind of researches are known as generative researches. So you have a broad idea of what can be the possible outcome. So here the research design, research direction, and the hypothesis are well defined at the beginning of the research. Exploratory research, on the other hand, is conducted with an aim to study a problem that does not have any solution yet. I mean, not much of research or data is available to rely on. It has been seen that exploratory research is an initial stage of research. Exploratory research provides a basis of conclusive research. Now, let us examine this exploratory research a little better. It is at times also known as formulative research. Generally, it is conducted in a very lesser known or unfamiliar area. You can imagine the researchers which had concluded for the first time. For example, this Earth revolves around the sun, or Earth is spherical in shape. So all were exploratory researches. It's not well structured with less focus on predetermined goals because we do not know during the process of research what are we going to get. So we cannot define it, or we cannot design the research or direct the research in the initial stage itself. And it helps in generating new ideas and clarifying the concept. So generally what happens in this exploratory research is that we discover what are new variables during the process of research. While in case of generative research, we already know the variables. And after discovering the new variables in case of exploratory research, we also try to find out relationship, which is more or less known in case of generative research. One example which I always quote when I'm talking about exploratory research is the research is done by Louis Pasteur. While his research was conducted for finding the cure for rabies, he, during the process, came up with the concept of microorganism, which was unknown at that time. And he came up with the concept of pasteurization of milk as well. And then after that, he found the reason for rabies and could find the cure for that. So this is, I think, wonderful example for exploratory research. The next type of research classification is on the basis of analysis. Sometimes we just require, the situation, what the situation is. We do not require why it had happened and what is influencing what. So such kind of researches are known as descriptive researches. So descriptive research consists of surveys and fact-finding inquiries for various kinds. The major reason to carry out descriptive research is describing the state of affair as it exists at present. It doesn't have control over the variables. So the researcher can only report things like what has happened and what is happening. Yeah, it can be cross-sectional. That means what is happening in a particular time in different countries together, or it can be longitudinal. That means what happened 10 years back, then maybe 12 years back, then 5 years back, and then comparing them. So it can be that longitudinal also. In case of analytical research, the researchers collect facts or already which are available information, they critically evaluate and analyze and draw a cause and effect relationship. They say, we call it causal relationship also. The researcher may control the variables for the study. The next type of classification is on the basis of data used for interpretation. The first type is conceptual research. It can be concept developed on the basis of abstract theories, the theories which have been developed earlier. It can also be reiteration of existing theories and their application in the changing scenario. And many a times you do not require any verification for that. So sometimes, like in case of descriptive research, in case of conceptual research, also you may not require hypothesis. In case of empirical research, this research relies on experience or observation of the researcher who is conducting it, often without due regard to the existing system and theory or models which have been developed earlier. It is based on research, coming up with conclusion which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. So in case of empirical research, it is important to frame hypotheses which have to be accepted and rejected at the end of the research. Another type of research which we generally come across is evaluation study or evaluation research. This is again a type of applied research where the assessment of effectiveness of a social or economic program or policy which is implemented is done. It may also help in highlighting the situation required for the success of the program. So generally it is of three types: concurrent, that means it is done continuously, that huge amount of data is collected, but if the data is very critical and the research is very sensitive, then concurrent research is conducted. Periodic means it's not necessary that we conduct it every continuously. We can do it in 2 months, 3 months, and so on. And terminal means evaluation done at the end of the program. So this is another type of evaluation result. With this, we come to an end of this video. In my next video, we're going to explore more things about research and management. So bye for now.